For today, your favorite channel Everyday Movie Recap will recap Detective Pikachu movie from the year 2019. In a world where humans catch and train creatures with unique powers, a young man embarked on a journey to investigate the death of his father. Here, he will meet fantastic Pokémons such as Charizard, Mewtwo, Gyarados, and many others. Of course, the little yellow mouse Pokémon called Pikachu will be his travel companion throughout this whole journey. We are introduced to Tim Goodman, a 21-year-old insurance adjuster who gave up his dreams of becoming a Pokémon trainer after the divorce of his parents. While trying to catch a Cubone in the fields with his friend, he was called by the police department of Ryme City, a place where Pokémon and humans live in harmony, in which Pokémon battles are illegal. They informed him of his father's passing from an accident. Tim, saddened by this news, travels to Ryme City to meet with Harry's friend, Detective Yoshida Hideo. Yoshida tells him more about his father and also gives him the apartment where his father used to live. Upon arriving at the apartment, a Psyduck blocks his way, and a female voice introduces herself as the Psyduck's owner. Her name is Lucy Stevens, and she has also been investigating the circumstances relating to Harry's death as she is a reporter for the news network CNN. But Tim, not wanting to disclose anything else, shooed her away and proceeded to get inside the apartment. As he looks around, he finds a vial containing purple gas labeled R. Tim accidentally opens it, and it emits tons of smoke. He brings it outside the window, unaware that monkey-like Pokémons called Apioms were exposed to it. He explores the room some more and finds an unsent letter inviting him to move to Ryme City to reconcile with his father. He's still reminiscing about his father when he hears a noise coming from the other room, and he finds it to be a talking Pikachu. He is shocked, but before even comprehending Pikachu's speech, the group of Apioms from before invades the room. They were driven mad by the gas. The angry mob of Apioms chases them through the roof. But luckily, Tim and Pikachu escaped through the garbage chute. And soon after, the effects of the gas subsided. Tim, still recovering from the experience with the Apioms, tried to tell everyone about the talking Pikachu. But it seems that he's the only one who can hear Pikachu. Upon talking more, Tim finds out that Pikachu is none other than the Pokémon partner of his father. They go to a cafe and discuss some more. It turns out that Pikachu lost his memories, and the only thing Pikachu knows is that he's the partner of Harry and that they were investigating the gas R. Pikachu convinced Tim that there is a possibility of his father being alive. Reluctantly, he agrees and they investigate the truth to locate him. The following morning, Tim wakes up to find Pikachu gathering all documents and clues relating to the case. He deducts that Harry must have discovered something and that led to people targeting his life. The clue must be in the room, said Pikachu. And upon reading a news article, Tim remembers the junior news reporter that he met yesterday. She might know something more about the case. And so, they went to visit her in the CNN studio. On set, Howard Clifford, the missionary person behind the founding of Ryme City, and his son Richard Clifford, CEO of CNN and chairman of Clifford Enterprise, are being interviewed. After finishing the interview, Lucy brings Tim back to her office and shows him other R vials that she discovered. She told him that Harry had an informant near the docks of Ryme City. If he wants to continue, that is the place where he should look for. It turns out that the informant that they are looking for is Mr. Mime, a Pokémon that can make invisible walls. They interrogated him and even threatened to burn him with an invisible gasoline. Mr. Mime finally gave them a clue about the source of the R gas. They next visit an underground illegal fighting ring where Pokémon battle each other. To extract information, he has to battle the owner of the ring and his Charizard. It's a 1 versus 1 between Pikachu and an R-infused Charizard. In the middle of the fight, the owner's gas vials broke and the stadium filled with gas, turning every Pokémon crazy. Finally, a Magikarp evolves into Gyarados and stops the whole fight. The police arrive and Tim is brought to the office of Detective Hideo. He insists to the detective that Harry must still be alive and the case will lead him to the truth. But Mr. Detective shows him a video of the accident of his father, telling him that, even if he doesn't want to accept it, no one can survive that car crash. Heartbroken, Tim cried in the park. Suddenly, a woman from the company of Howard Clifford calls out to him. It seems that Mr. Howard wanted to meet him. Howard informs him that he's the one who hired Harry to investigate the R gas. And now, he also wants Tim to continue his father's work. He also showed him an imagery of Harry crawling out wounded, but still alive from the accident. A powerful Pokémon looms above Harry. It's a man-made Pokémon mixed with the DNA of the progenitor Pokémon, Mew. Mewtwo was also the one responsible for kidnapping Tim's father, and also, it was responsible for wiping the memories of Pikachu. Find Mutwo and they will find his father, but that is not as easy as it looks like. So they meet again with Lucy. Thanks to Lucy, they figured out the laboratory where Mutwo was created. PCL, a Pokémon genetics research facility. Furthermore, she also mentioned that a major power shutdown occurred in that facility the night Harry was involved in the accident. This information leads them to believe that PCL is hiding something. They trespass the facility and find Pokémons locked up. PCL was experimenting with growth enhancement for Pokémons. Unbeknownst to them, Roger Clifford and his team are aware of what they are doing and saying. As they explore some more, they find a wreckage of the facility equipment. It looks like a big fight happened. Fortunately, a laptop with a holographic video still works and recorded the whole incident. It turns out that the gas R came from Mutwo. On day 68 of the experiment, Mutwo woke and escaped from the chamber. Pikachu plays the video backward from the day the experiment began and they find out that Tim's father was the one who captured Mutwo. Confused, Tim and Pikachu go back to find Lucy. But they were nowhere to be seen. They look up and see her captured by a Lickitung and a bunch of Greninjas. Somehow, they escape the facility with the Greninjas hot after their tail. The agile Greninjas, seemingly catching up to them, were repelled by a huge power surge from Psyduck. Suddenly, the mountains turned and twisted. The land itself split in half as the team scrambled to safety. Its humongous evolved Torterras, the size of whole mountains. They swam through the river, however, things did not look good for Pikachu. He was struck by an object on his head. A group of Bulbasaurs brings them to a clearing to heal Pikachu, but at that moment, Mutwo appears. It heals Pikachu and thanks it for helping Mutwo escape. Turns out, it was Pikachu who caused the power outage that led to Mutwo escaping. Just as they were talking, flying robotic objects appeared and immobilized Mutwo. With Greg and his team gone, Pikachu wanted to separate from Tim. Filled with guilt, he said he's the one who freed Mutwo, therefore he is not to be trusted. Meanwhile, at Ryme City, the 10th anniversary Pokémon parade is to commence in the afternoon. Everyone gets ready and huge balloons of Pokémon are put up. Tim's and Lucy arrive before the event. Tim wanted to talk with Howard about the things he discovered in the facility. In another scene, Pikachu is walking sad and alone that he betrayed his loved ones when he happens to see the same bridge where Harry and he got into the accident. He inspects the site and sees Greninja scales, which leads him to conclude that the actual enemy was Howard who sent the Greninjas. And that Mutwo is the one protecting them after all. Without knowing any of this, Tim arrives at Howard's building and sees him wearing a Neuralink. This allows him to control a Mutwo exposed to the gas R. While inside the mind of Mutwo, Howard told him it was all part of his plans. They were just the bait to lure out Mutwo for them to capture him. He's the mastermind, and he plans to swap the mind of Pokémon and their trainers by inducing them to the mind-altering effects of the gas R. He explains to the masses that it is the cure for everyone. A way for humanity to evolve, every person in Pokémon exposed to the gas merged into one. Pikachu arrives in the city and battles the Howard-Mutwo combo. But it is evident that our Fury mouse attacks have little effect on one of the strongest Pokémon. While Mutwo and Pikachu play a game of tag, Tim wakes up and sees the real Greg gagged and locked in the cupboard. The Greg from the previous scenes was a fake, made with the abilities of a Ditto. The Ditto changes into other forms and attacks Tim. Just as Tim was about to fall off the building, Pikachu charged with electricity and rammed against Mutwo. This allows Greg to free himself to creep behind the Ditto and send it flying. But the Ditto transformed into a flying Pokémon and came back trying to finish Tim and Greg. He uses the gas R to immobilize Ditto. At the same time, Howard Mutwo revives to chase after Pikachu. But Pikachu is just a distraction. Knowing how Howard controls Mutwo, Tim removes the Neuralink and completely severs the connection between Howard and Mutwo. Mutwo, back to himself, undo what Howard did to the people and their Pokémon. Howard is captured by the police while Lucy gets to report on the events that transpired. But there is just one final thing Mutwo has to do. To return Tim's father. All this time, Harry and Tim were solving the case together. Harry and Pikachu were merged by Mutwo until the time it was safe for Harry to come out. In the end, Harry and Tim reconcile, and Tim decides to become a detective himself.